Hello and welcome everyone to another exciting episode of BBSSH, and we've got a fantastic talk lined up tonight. And I'll hand it straight over to our speaker because we like to basically, as usual, we'll have Furqan will run through his talk, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A and all those things afterwards. So I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. Let me share my screen. There you go. All righty. Do you see my slide?
Yep, looks good.
Looks great.
Alrighty. Okay, so myself, Furqan Ansari, I'm one of the product agile coach, transformation coach slash digital coach, transformation at American Airlines. Today, I'm going to share some stories, some little bit of transformation stories, where we started at American Airlines and how did we looked at value stream management at American Airlines in the past, even today, because since we're evolving, and how we started evolving in a very early phase and experimenting and looking at value stream from a different angle, different perspective, maybe more a bigger picture, and what measurements are important for us and what challenges we might run into, and then we're probably thinking that we'll see. So I would probably, if anyone has any question in truly understanding the concept, I'm happy to do, touch it in the middle. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. I cannot see the hands, and Peter, if you can help me out, if anyone has any question in the chat, I will jump into the journey. I will not take time. It's a topic pretty common in the industry. People have learned a lot, I believe. So I was trying to go into the learning and journey of American Airlines. But before I get into there, I really wanted to share that quote. I love that quote. Every time I see that, I love it so much. And Kieran Martin, in his book, Value Stream Mapping, one of the book he wrote from based on Toyota Automotive model of value stream, he coded that the quote as well. I love it. If you can't describe what you are doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. It's like very straightforward. All right, so the way American Airlines, we still today, I wouldn't say that we have passed that, but do you guys see the pictures double times yourself? Let me remove it. Is it better? The corner, do you see the full slide?
We see the full slide. So
okay, I was having some pictures like on the corner. All right, so we started. I would say somewhere around early 2018 or late in 2017, and we did a lot of identification of value streams and mapping activities across the enterprise, many products, squads actually. And when I say squad, actually, because I'm going to say that use this word a lot of time, we use this word for the development team. Product teams at American Airlines are like there are 2 to 3 squads, we call them, or you can call it delivery team or development team. More like a common word. So we did many value stream mapping in the last 2018, 2019. There are a lot of great, I would say, benefit and some outcomes that we achieved and see improvement. But I wanted to tell you, how did we look at the value stream and why are we changing and how are we evolving today? So this is a typical example. I probably wouldn't, I'm not even in my new evolution in journey, I would not going to share a lot of content that is in a discovery and things and experimenting things like AA content. I will try to stick with the more generic or typical type of examples to share the concept. So this is a very typical example of laying out any software delivery or app or digital product teams streams. If there is a product, there's a stream. There's definitely a stream. It's just a matter of how do you look at it and how do you identify it? If people don't know what value stream is there. It's just they need to take a look like where do we start, where do we end, and what steps and activities we're taking in order to deliver the value. So like I said, you see that in the corner, that squad and delivery teams. We used to work with them, we still do today somewhat, and take their journey, how they're getting the business needs or the features and stories and go through the certain process steps and eventually deliver. That's more like a common, but for team to team different, you might see different steps, furthermore steps. There are a few things that we achieved, and I will get to the point what we were missing and what we are still missing today and why we are evolving and changing this. So as squads, the value streams, what we did, at least what we achieved, is we were able to reduce waste. We find out a lot of bottlenecks. We mapped out on the boards, literally manual, and we find out where the bottlenecks is and how can we remove those waste. Because of the visualization of their stream, we were able to find out new innovative ways. How can we be more and more lean and agile? Majority, I would say literally more than 50 plus squads went through this activity at a scale, having a lot of facilitators and a lot of coaches that help those teams go through this mapping activity and help them improve their overall lead time or cycle time. And their active ratio, like how much time they're actually putting hands-on in development and design, and how much total time it's taking to, they were able to identify those things. The overall the lead time improved, and most importantly, the leaders and even the entire team members were able to get holistic pictures. Like I said, this is just a typical example, but in real, you would see a lot of actually more steps and very specific to that nature of that squad of delivery teams. So, and a lot of time I hear that like, wow, well, you do that. I never know that you used to do that in staff. So even team members sometimes don't know what's happening in other team members' space. So that's holistic pictures of end-to-end and how it was great. But something was missing. And in this value stream, what I would say what truly missing was a true business value. So I'll share some things that we are thinking about it and talking, and then we're realizing that there are things, those streams that we have today, even, and we tried some mapping activity, we tried some techniques to improve. They were very delivery or / development team driven, versus entire product team that includes full business and IT. So that was one thing, very delivery team driven versus overall, you take a look at one team. The perspective was more from delivery team versus the customer perspective. And that's what the beauty of value stream, that you get to see, if you cannot vision the customer value and in your value stream, then there's a big time problem. That's a red flag in your value stream. So that was kind of a missing, that how much we are focusing on true customer value delivery versus we are focusing on, we got to get these feature use story out. That's all we're trying to. So also, like those work items that I was saying, features and user story versus do they truly represent the business value? Some squads and product teams were really good at it, defining their work items in a true business value, but a lot not. If they don't show any business value, then we have, of course, a big time problem of the value flow. Those streams is still with today because American Airlines is going huge transformation of project to product. And we have come along in that journey. And that's what one of the things that we in taxonomy product, we saw that move away from application-based product versus more like a true product that has custom. So in those value stream that we do today and used to do more application-based versus supporting business capabilities. So those pictures, those things that I mentioned, these 4 things were missing when we used to do at the level of delivery. So that was our learning over a couple of years, and that ended before pandemic. Actually, I would say we started thinking in the new direction. And then pandemic happened, and everyone knows that a lot of initiated and things got impacted. I think we're back on track. We started discussing again, like, okay, how can we, that discussion we have, like I'm saying, before pandemic, we were already in that path. Hey, we need to evolve and change the way we look at our value stream. We are looking at the value, we call it a value, but it's very delivery team oriented. It's Are we sure that it does provide the business value to the, are we measuring the true business value or measuring the flow? Is it truly business value that serve customer need? So we're not sure of that. So how can we change that? The concept of looking the value stream in a different way. So this is what we have experimented in a few products. And so, and I was so amazed and glad that when I took that training with Sooner, Safer, Happier, Miles, with Miles as well. And what we were experimenting last year, I saw that that book and touches the same thing exact, and I was so excited. We started thinking, well, before we get to the value stream measurements, the key metric, we need to first take a look how they're aligned truly with customer journey. So I'm going to take this quick example. I'm using this as an analogy. Again, I would just say that we tried with one of the product at the gate management product at the airport and a couple other products. I probably wouldn't share that content here because it's not finalized in the shape, and it might have some information that I'm not really comfortable to share. But I use this a very generic product, any product that provides you e-commerce or online shopping. We all do online shopping, right? This customer journey you see on the board is very straightforward. If you are a customer, put yourself in there. You come here, you search for the products, you like that product, you add to the cart, you add shipping details, you add billing details, you check out the order, and you might want to track an order. This is a typical example. You can take it and drill it down to more detail. But the concept is what we are we're laying out in a very detailed the customer journey. And it might touch multiple products. Since American Airlines is the products and the size is huge, we got 100 plus products and multiple squads underneath one product. And systems and the way we have so far, the way we have offering to the customer, either their internal, like pilots or flight attendants or gate agents, they are customers for some of the product teams, but they are American Airlines employees as well. And we have customer like flyer, like passengers, we all know. So the concept is here, first understand truly your customer journey, and then start looking like how do you deliver value that complement your business, one of the business capability that you offer, and that eventually serve a customer need. So in this, the first, let's consider this is one product on a website. We are trying to identify if search is a capability of our product. How does our value stream looks like? And again, these are against generic examples of steps. It could be different. Like when we go in real, try to lay out, it might look a little bit different. But I put very common, very high level steps. You usually try to understand customer problem, you discover their solutions, develop solution, then you deliver. Let's take it as a typical example here. Find out if this stream is supporting your product capabilities, which product. So let's say in this case, search. And if it's supporting that, and how it is providing true value to the customer need, which is directly tied with the customer need to search the product. Within that product, there could be possibility of another value stream. And that value stream could serve one or two different offerings of the product together. And it all goes the discussion between business and like product managers and architects and other stakeholders. And again, one of the key things is we want to make sure that our value streams are very as much as independent, and there's not much dependency. It cannot be 100% independent, but there is always in digital product slightly dependency. But we want to make sure how much how there is autonomy in delivering the value and less dependency. So those discussions we're trying to have with the product team and architect. Okay, how can be a more independent end-to-end stream that could support one or more capabilities and that the customer needs. And same as I would introduce another value stream. So let's say this is a large product, and you can even say there are multiple products. But the point is that we need to understand if we are trying to identify, before we get to the value stream measurements like value, flow, velocity, efficiency, I insist a lot actually in structuring, identifying the value stream in the right way. And that's why we kind of shared that how do we used to do it, and even if we do it that way, that looking at the delivery, but we are experimenting and evolving. How do we look at from a true business value perspective, the streams that support your capabilities and serve the customer needs? So that's a picture that we are experimenting and evolving. It is not easy as it was and supposed to be just pick one team like a squad development team and just do it. It probably might feel like quick and easy, straightforward, but in this evolution concept and taking it at a bigger level, there's a lot of stakeholders in a large corporation. There's multiple teams involved trying to understand, if you just look at one search capability, if I go in real time and search American Airlines, search ticketing, there are like dozens of systems and apps behind it and different teams working. So it's not that easy, of course, and it is. And I will touch some of the challenges in the end that we might face, and we probably want to deal with those challenges as we start more experimenting and getting more mature. One thing is, and I would probably stop here to see if anyone has a question. One of the most important thing that American Airlines really big into is OKR framework adoption. It's been 30 years for American Airlines, I believe, starting 2019 now. And we're taking it from a corporate portfolio to product level and fully streamlined OKR adoption. American Airlines big into OKR adoption. So I really wanted to touch how do they actually, these streams complement OKRs delivery. Because if you have an OKR need to be delivered. There are some solutions that need to be delivered. Some key results that you need to measure and achieve, and those solutions and things will go through the streams, and they're totally there's nothing completely different and out of the picture. These streams should be supported, and they are supported by OKRs. You can have one OKR that supports two streams. You can have one, again, depending on the situation, how you have structured your product and your capability and the streams. So there might be one or two examples, but yes, you have those OKRs and you start to get into the weeds of the problem and you start delivering true valuable work items. Either you want to call it a feature. I'll stop there. I guess it was a lot of stuff to digest. Anyone has any question? I needed to drink water a little bit, that's why I stopped.
Do your value streams correspond entirely to products, or do you have multiple products per value stream?
The new approach that we have tried is actually multiple value stream in one product. Product at American Airlines are very big competitive to maybe some mid-sized companies and other technology companies. And then we have like have done a lot of stuff on productization and optimizing product taxonomy, and we are still evolving. When we find out opportunity, then a product needs to be split truly into different to be more independent. We do that. So, but currently we're going this picture. If I say we're probably going multiple products in one product.
Cool. And I just thinking about this as well. I'm curious. One of the things you mentioned about stakeholder engagement and stakeholder feedback, and couldn't agree more. When you really get in and examine the stakeholder landscape of a large company like an American Airlines, you'll have stakeholder groups, but then when you unpack that, you have a lot of people. Exactly. And one thing I'm really curious about, because when we think about how these value streams look different than what they look like in 2018. In 2018, the value stream example you were showing looked much more like a delivery team really operating like a waterfall team. And they're focused on the design phase and the development phase and then delivery and transition. But this seems to imply that you reformed the squads into different kinds of teams with different roles in those teams to help solve the challenges you were mentioning earlier. Now, I'm wondering if it says business and IT on a product team, but you have these like broad, stakeholder groups and stakeholder landscape. What is the structure of the team look like with business representation on the team?
So good question. And I would say one thing I would definitely say we have, and you're probably that we were in the beginning, we're talking about that, American Airlines transformation journey presentation on last summit is the product mindset journey and project to product transformation, at least from a structure point of view. We have actually majority of the product has really good participation of product owner as a persistent product owner for the team, as a part of the team member and product owner. We are getting more and more mature in product manager role. We're not there yet, but product directors and other leaders, they're all fully bought in with development delivery teams or their peers on the IT side. I would say a majority of the teams are, if I'm not wrong, they're fully bought in the concept of one team, one product team, and not having like considered an IT as a partner for the business. So, and in those product groups or products, this type of transformation initiatives or efforts may be a lot easier versus there are certain portfolio and things that we're still a little behind. And then you get those challenges to bring those stakeholders on board, because before you get to that value stream, look, you don't even have that. If you don't have that culture and buy-in that you business at IT one team, you have the same customer, you're working the same business. So that's really important. So we have, I would say we are, at least in that learning, we're really good, and we are still improving. There is still some areas in the company that need to improve. So that's really, and one thing I would Dan, I think you mentioned that even in back in 2018, 2019, in agile iterative way, it's been like more than 10 years. We were good in taking things in iterative way and doing things agile. These steps maybe might misleading, but I believe American Airlines quit waterfall style is about more than 10 years almost in agile journey. But what was missing is we are doing iterative phase, but are we sure that we are truly each value chunk that flows through the value stream has a business value? It's like how much are we focused on feature driven and how much we are focused on customer centric or solving customer problem. So that was piece that was missing, and as a part of product mindset journey and project product transformation, that is what it's been about, I would say, a few years on that, and we have improved a lot. Now I would say this is the next level thing that will complement and or strengthen the product model at American Airlines more. The moving from completely the project approach. Even you're trying to run the agile projects, but there is still projects going more and more product and delivering the value that solve customer problems.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah. This might be something you touch on a little bit later, so feel free to hit this a little later. But another thing that struck me as I'm looking at what you're showing now with the value stream today is, again, kind of coming back to the sort of these broad stakeholder groups, lots of people in the organization. What is when you go to delivery of solution, what does the feedback loop look like that comes from delivery of a capability or some portion of a capability and getting the feedback from the customer to understand, what we might want to look at next?
So yes, good question. Like, let's say deliver solutions, and ideally after when you deliver the solution, you really want to measure, like, does it make any difference in the key results? So a couple of things that teams are working on, and we have actually a few different groups of shared services that provides a lot of data insights. We have data scientists, we have BI, we have pretty, I would say a large group of data teams that provide insight and analytics. So they do get those. Since this OKR, we're all about thirds, maybe how it's not wrong. We started OKR in 2019, right? So we're maturing every year. So now that when the team product groups and products are starting setting the key results, they're realizing that to actually measure those key results when we deploy a few solutions, we don't have any way to measure today. So that'll become another, like a feature to let's at least find out, set baseline for how can we set baseline, and how can we do have a data, but we don't have right away, and we are not ready to see this. So definitely that feedback loop, either they get it from customer, from survey, that's direct feedback from the customer, but we want to be more data driven. I think this is what we're there. More product teams going to find out a way that data we capture or we don't capture that we should capture, and have our ways to actually more automated ways of measuring the key results, did we achieve or not.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that would be our the source of validity, would say, or the valid. How do we validate the solution? It's, are we moving needles in the key result or not?
Cool. Thank you. What other questions do we have from our participants here this evening?
I see there are two chats. I don't know if there are questions, but
hey, I was just going to ask, and you might have covered it and I missed it, but how are you keeping track of this? Like, what sort of tooling are you using to keep track of this? Like, is it kind of for the individual teams? Like, are they keeping it in their own documentation? Have you got a central place? Like, where's all that being stored as you do this discovery?
so like, and that's why I wanted to mention that word experimenting. So we are very early phase that we tried only a few products that have this approach, and we're finding some value to take it to this now. What I would say, majority, I would go back at least this. So we have Dash that give us teams, our agile teams, lead time, cycle times of development, and overall delivery cycle times, as well as the production deployment, which we call it a value flow frequency, how often you deploy. So we have those built in, and we are using work management tools, Rally and ADO. We get that all data from there, and we have a dash built on top of it. A different multiple tool give that picture. So we have those metrics keep running. But yes, there is, and I will share in the end some of them are touching. The metrics that is another challenge. If you really want to go at that level, that new evolution that I'm showing, I put that as a challenge in my last slide, that tools and getting those metrics more automated will be another big challenge. But today we do have measures through Rally and ADO. By the way, Rally is introducing a new value stream management feature in there. It's coming in the industry. So that's, I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so some of the challenges that I say, okay, that's not going to be easy. We're trying this, and we talked about some leaders, and so the key, what I would say, there are three key metrics that two of them we already look at it, but again, we look at it at what level is different versus the same metrics you look at end to end from business. So we do capture the lead time, delivery time end to end. Okay, features go end to end. What it's constantly showing on the for 100+ products on the dash. We do capture the flow frequency, like how often they're deploying. But when I say that we're evolving that, of course, we might need to find out different ways to tweak this and get the data from end to end. Like, we're not capturing today the time that is spent in ideation. Like before the user stories or features comes in our tool, there's a lot of time that sometimes we spend in ideation and discovery or decision. We have set the OKRs, but maybe it took us, let's say, a couple weeks to get the valuable features out in the backlog. So that, who is going to count that 2 weeks of lag time? So that is amazing. And but if you consider true value stream, that is important. You cannot miss it, because if you had it from there, you need to consider starting when the idea is ready, or trying to scratch that idea to solve a problem. You need to start, your clock starts from there. Clock doesn't start when you write a feature in a Rally or ADO tool or any Jira or anywhere. So in ideal world, the clock starts there. So that's another challenge that we probably would think about it before we actually get start defining value stream in a different level. We don't have today value flow efficiency that we did it manually. If you remember, I said it in 2018-20, we ran like 50 plus mapping activities manually laid out. And teams used to get that data from work management tool and did some calculation and find out how their active ratio, which in other words in industry call it value flow efficiency, look like actual hands-on time on each process step of my delivery versus the total lead time. How did it look like? We were shocked to see that, I mean, there was a huge difference. Like literally there was like a 50+% difference between your actual time and the lead time, and that active ratio turned out to be like 30, 40, 50 something. But the good thing is when they removed the bottlenecks and hypothetically team tried to create a future active ratio, they saw how much they can improve from 30 to 70, 80% of active ratio if they can remove these bottlenecks, if they can get rid of these, a lot of wait time and lag time, find out new ways. So they did some, we used to do some of, calculation, more projection, how would it look like. So these three to me are very critical ones. There are more other measurements in, measuring your value flow in your value streams. But they're more common, more critical ones. But again, if the team is not, or when the entire product team is not putting the true valuable item in the tool, regardless, you can build this automated way to measure them, and you can build the perfect value stream. If team is not following the basics of agile ways of working and product management things, you will get a messy data. So that's another challenge. So you won't get it because you think, wow, my history is flowing like within the 2 to 3 days. But did we ever talk about it? Is that a valuable item that is flowing from your stream, or is just a use story that makes 1 or 2 changes or something? And like, so what challenges we probably will run into when we need to be open and ever deal with it? Not only measuring things through value stream, there's another I would say the great benefit actually we used it and try to get it is optimizing product taxonomy and aligning our product and teams around the value stream. One of the thing that I learned, it really helps us when to align your teams and people around those value streams. Because if you can first, if you have a set of business capability, a clear set, and these are the product offerings and services we have, and you can align and identify your streams around those things, it becomes much easier to see that how many delivery development teams and how many people do you really need. People might be going in not really right away, but at least you can see you need one set of people here, you need one group here, you need third group there as well. And though when those teams will start delivering value in stream, they will feel more autonomous and more independent. Because the structure foundation is set the right way. But that's one of the key things that we tried in a couple of products, and I think this is important as we go and take value stream to that level, that these will be a bigger challenge, especially considering the large corporations as American Airlines. Improve product management and agile ways of working. I kind of touched that point just before this slide. Regardless, you set great, perfect value stream, you have measurements, but if team don't know how to even create those items more valuable from customer perspective, your measurements are not give you the true picture. So that's a challenge that you want to make sure that their ways of working are the right way to working now. Automate key metrics, like we have 2 metrics that we do it, but we do it at more delivery team level that we have lead time. But if you go evolve, that would be another challenge to see how can we automate these metrics and have a way to measure our flow of value through these streams. So of course, there are a lot of other challenges, but I would thought we just probably these, and key challenges we may run into and probably will be facing. I think there you go. Yep, that's wrap up our journey of American Airlines. Open for any conversation, casual questions.
So I saw on the challenges slide, I saw product manager and product owner, and I always go, oh, what's the difference between the two in American? It could look a little different depending on the company. Just curious how that's set up for you all.
Great question. Because we spend quite a bit of time in our company to help them understand the ideal product role. So we have a tracks within our technology transformation organizations that help. There are certain tracks with leader enablement that will track that product mindset, which touches the ideal product team role. And we kind of educated a lot of our teams at every level, what product manager look like, what product owner. And in a very simple way, the way American Airlines see is product manager is more involved in strategic side in setting objectives and key results, like, key decisions, as well as understanding, market need and customer needs, and when is the time to set a product strategy. So that person is heavily involved in those discussions, and kind of a leading role, product is setting OKRs. And before even you set OKRs, do you have them setting product strategy? What are the top key problems for this year for me to solve for the customer? So a lot of those things are more a product manager thing. Now, that when it times to come, then, and if you remember the value stream, okay, let's define, here are some solutions and here are things that we can do, some prototyping, experimentation, and maybe we can deploy those. I can prioritize those things in the next iteration, sprint, 2 weeks. There, the product owner role comes in, which we call as that person is the owner of the backlog of delivery team. That person it's a persistent role. And that person works with the delivery team like every day. Like, here's a backlog. What information do you need? Let me create you stories and help define more, like what problem are we trying to solve? And if they have questions, architect engineers answer their question, elaborate more, use stories, and prioritize them for the next 2 weeks. This is what we're going to deploy. So product manager and product owner are heavily business driven role, and then architect, engineers, and UX and other people are more technology side driven role. Okay. I hope that helps you understand it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a pretty common pattern. I think we've seen, particularly in the large enterprise space, where it's implemented at scale. There's sort of a strategic bit, a tactical bit, and there's some overlap, between the two, which could look a little different just depending on the organization or the relationship between those two roles. How about the other role I was just thinking about was, just the you mentioned things like sort of the stewardship of, the value stream and the process, and ensuring that the data that illuminates the flow of work, is clean and quality, because we use that to help measure outcomes, right? To in a transparent manner. What kind of roles are set up on these teams for that? Is that like a scrum master, or like a Kanban lead, or something like that? Or
I think it's really important for a product manager to see if they're moving in the right direction in our key results. So if you're measuring the key results, the team is deploying solutions, but constantly making sure that those solutions are making an impact on the key result. It's really important for a product manager role. I think it's leading, that person can play a leading role. However, it's important for all entire product team. Like, what are you trying to do is make a difference. If it doesn't make a difference, reflect on it and maybe find out a different way, coordinate with a product manager if there is a need to change in strategy or something happens. But if I pick one person that really need to be, I would say, on data and how these things making a difference from a customer point of view, that's more product manager driven.
Got it. Okay. How about data in terms of the sort of the outcomes of the product team itself, like its lead time?
Oh, I see. I see what you say. Yeah.
Yeah. Flow efficiency. I'm just curious what kind of roles are set up.
There is good. Now I understand what you. So there's one role missing, and we have that. It's a very key role. It's a delivery manager role. So we have TDM, technical delivery managers.
Okay.
So in team of engineers are managed by technical delivery managers, and they're making sure that they develop the team with the right skill and talent, and its team has everything that needed to, either its skills, other resources to develop and deliver the solutions, and what that person could do in order to improve the overall lead time and cycle time. So I mean that manager could play a good role there too.
Cool. Okay. It's very interesting. Yeah. I'm always interested to hear how similar the patterns look across different companies versus some that may have a novel approach. Cool.
I will. All right. Any other questions we have? We can have, actually, it's a meetup. It could be just casual chat. By the way, I'm a casual chat person at all. I'm not a super speaker presenter at all. I'm a very regular coach, and I like conversations.
That's all right. I'll jump in here if you don't mind. So if you guys can hear me okay, I had to go mobile. I apologize. So if this isn't very clear, I can withdraw. But all this conversation is really good. I'm kind of curious on going back. So we have years of investment in our transformation. We have full agile teams, decoupled architecture, yada, 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 where we struggle right now. And maybe it's because we rushed through value stream mapping, and I'm well versed of, project to product and BBSSH. But we struggle as a team to identify what our product value streams are. So I stopped getting hung up on our labels, because I would think, let's go back here more so that we don't have NDAs and all that and give away secrets. Let's go back to just an e-commerce site. And you might have what you would think is maybe your e-commerce product or your catalog product, et cetera. Where we're struggling is that's where my mindset was. But our actual product team comes in and says, well, we're thinking of it as ordering and fulfillment. And so I go back and I challenge them. I said, that's fine. Let me not get hung up on labels. But can an independent team or a fracture plane team, multiple teams working on a single product line, so whatever you're going to call that product. So rather than me thinking in traditional product names, let's take fulfillment. Can you provide me enough work without handoffs and dependency that fulfillment value stream can continuously work from a backlog and deliver without needs from other teams? So did you guys ever come across this, or anyone within this group, where you kind of got hung up on, I come back, I actually work for airlines, I've worked in shipping and logistics, so I tend to always fall back on what I think traditional products are. And if I look at the way we sell our product line to our customer, it's not how our current VP or our product team is defining the product value stream. So I know that's a lot of words, but how did you get to defining your product value streams?
So if I could understand correctly, it was a little, sorry about that, a little challenging to hear you, Phil, clearly, but I believe I got it, what you were saying, that when we try to do things, I believe you're saying that the discussion and stakeholders got hung up into like the terminologies or definitions. Okay, this is product and this is not product. I think if that we face this challenge all the time. Like I said, before even we get to the value stream things, and we're always open and evolving our taxonomy. But this discussion is every time you open, you come up with a different definition of, okay, this is my capability. It's too low to say it looks like a feature. It's not a capability. How bigger I can go, how broad I can go. And it is a challenging discussions. Like the only thing that helped me in facilitating those discussions is understanding the customer journey or job that person trying to do. And if that person is trying to do, and you can split into different things, like as this one of this analogy I was using. I do agree with you. If you don't want to hug up with all the product structure and how it is, if you have an order fulfillment stream and you think my customer is trying to get this done, and you're very clear on this, I don't think there's anything wrong with calling this out. But what happens most of the time that people get into a little bit of a philosophical, conceptual discussion and argument and trying to understand, okay, if you really want to move on and you want to get the value out of it and understanding, like I said, there is a stream no matter what you do. Doesn't matter. If there are people, if there is a product, there is stream. It's just a matter of aligning and identifying in a better way so that you can truly measure your value flow. So if I understood you correctly, I kind of agree with a lot of things that you said, that we face that challenge as well. And it is never easy to define and talk about product taxonomy, especially the companies who have legacy systems and they're like 60, 70 years old companies. The companies who evolved in the last couple of decades, 20, 30, they have pretty solid structure. Like their structure of applications aligned with the customer. Their architects aligned with the customer already, because they evolved and they emerged in this time frame where we talk about product, we talk about agile. How we answer your question, it was a little hard to understand that there was a noise in the background.
Yeah, you did. And I think it just goes to, we have currently teams. My whole goal is to keep teams, obviously a lot of the agile principles long-lived, and more of the subject matter expertise to understand if you're in this stream, you own the life cycle of the stream until that stream is retired. And so there's a lot of benefits to that. Every company is going to have a different context on how they want to apply this.
Agreed.
But what I get to is we have core complex subsystems with value streams there that the teams manage. It gets back up to the customer level and delivering that value and saying, trying to identify if you're telling me fulfillment is a value stream, a product value stream, instead of, I'm trying to think of a better term. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Yeah, I have a hard time ever thinking, if I go back to just business side of the house, what is the life cycle of fulfillment? At what point do I retire it and replace it? You know, so I'm now putting on my product hat, and I tend to overthink things, but that's our hang up right now is I can deal with the complex or the alternative value streams at a technical level, but as an engineer and as a head of engineering, I struggle to align or get the product managers to understand the product value streams and how we define them. So I think I'm getting hung up on labels.
I see. I think, you know what, I feel like you touching exact two things that what I talked about is, I think you feel like you're in this space and you understand, you get it. That's from engineer point of view, the way we are actually doing it. But you're having challenge this new evolution, what I'm saying. Also, you want to help them understand, product managers, that we need to look our value stream from end to end, from business perspective. That includes the technical, like your delivery as well. I think if that goes back, before we get to, I think I touched in the middle to help them understand the value stream. If product managers in business truly doesn't understand what project or product is mindset, moving from project mindset to product mindset, if they don't understand that the business and IT has the same customer, they have the same target audience, and they are one team, if they don't have those understanding and concept, okay, it's really hard for them to throw OKRs and help them understanding, look at the value stream end to end. It's really hard for them. And I know Dan and Peter, feel free to jump in and you share your experience. But to me is what Phil's saying, he's facing, Phil, the challenge. We had that too, but we fixed the other thing first to help them understand, okay, do they understand product mindset? Do they understand the ideal product model? So go ahead, someone.
That's okay. And I don't want to hog this Q&A for that. We are very OKR, somewhat in the middle of our maturity, and they do understand project versus product now. So we've kind of gotten over that hurdle. So I was just curious, but yeah, if anyone else wants to jump in on their experience. So really, I was thinking more of specific product lines and getting hung up on labels. My definition of a value stream is, to your point, delivering value. Can a team with as little dependency as possible continue to deliver value with whatever you call it, for a life cycle or for however long that identified value stream is meant to live, right?
Right. I think you're right. Right on. I think what you're thinking in the right direction. I think so. I mean, it's since I'm not, of course, in that space, and it would be different. But I think you were thinking in the right direction. It's just a matter of lending both sides and people in the same pitch.
Well, one thing I'm just thinking about Phil's question for a moment when I'm looking at the slide here. Yeah, there's kind of a couple ways I've seen value streams structured in organizations. One way is what we're seeing here, which is where you may have an end-to-end customer journey, but there may be like different pieces of technology and things that have to happen along the way for that whole end-to-end customer journey to come alive. And then you might have teams set up to focus on the specific areas, like, hey, we're the team that works on the search capability, and we're the team that works on the shopping cart, and we're the team that works on the sort of the shipping, the purchase, shipping, fulfillment side. Another way I've seen it set up, and I'm wondering, Phil, if this is where you might be going with that, is, I've seen, sometimes I've seen organizations struggle with this, where they try to form the team or the value stream on the entire customer journey itself, so that you have a team or a set of teams that owns that whole thing. So rather than the horizontal line on the slide looking like this, instead, you take the customer journey and flip it and go search, add to cart, details, order, status, and then you have a team or a set of teams that just owns that, which can break a whole series of dependencies and things like that. But one of the challenges with that structure could be things like the domain knowledge and the skill set required, because the ability to work on the search capability of the product could require a very different skill set than what happens maybe on the backside of the customer journey. So, I'm just, what do you think there?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Here's where the dichotomy of the struggle that I have, art, force, whatever, is handoffs. Are we just moving to a different way of handoffs and functional silos?
Right.
If I sit here and I have to hand off to a search team and wait, then all I've done is kind of modernize my handoffs. That's all. So how do we truly get teams to be able to be, kind of going back to the DevOps lean and agile movements, to be aligned to a value stream and be able to truly deliver from end to end without handoffs? And I know a lot of that depends on architecture, and we've really worked on that and broken down a lot of things. So that's my daily challenge in my mental mind, is to say, are we just creating a new fancy handoff mechanism?
I think you raised a really good challenge, and it could be another challenge. Totally, that is a challenge, and especially the architect of the companies with the legacy system is a little bit more complicated. And yes, that is something I think we need to. And one of the beauty is it's not just structuring, I think, and we want to make sure that we are reducing handoffs and dependencies as much as, and that's one of the thing, and the waste we call it. If it is not helping, then this structure is not helping. The process for the sake, it's not helping and improving. But again, I mean, this what Phil touched it is totally. I'm pretty sure these are the challenges that we kind of smell already, and probably will face more. But we are in a very, like I said, it's trying new ways of evolving our value stream concept at American Airlines. We're not there yet.
And I appreciate it. Again, I don't want to dominate this. I think transformation is a struggle, and context is per company or individual groups. But for a journey that's been awesome, all of a sudden, once I started applying value streams and value stream mapping, it's now here we go with another hurdle. So hopefully the others, in the group can take something away from this. But I appreciate all the time you guys have had and your representation of what you went through at American Airlines.
Awesome.
Are there any more questions before we wrap up for the evening?
Just quickly, I guess, in terms of, I guess it's not even a question as much as a comment. I think the bulk of time that I end up talking about VSM, it's just explaining that that's a thing. So like the maturity level here that you're talking about this in terms of like, oh, we're adopting this and we've reached this level, like that's pretty unique at this stage. You're already very advanced.
And I agree. Actually, it's just to know.
This is a long way forward. Sorry, go.
Well, I was just sorry, I just got passionate around your comment on that because, we're doing this in our organization too. And just, I think the first step is that education and adoption. That's hard to do. There's no doubt about it. And then once you go through an exercise of mapping out your current state and starting to identify where the opportunities are, when you look at the gap and what's required to move from here to there, it can be big. And because it could be structural, it could be skill set based, it could be architectural, and it tends to put pressure on a lot of legacy constructs in organizations. So, I mean, just having that I think in American Airlines is a huge step and definitely something to celebrate. James, I couldn't agree with you more. It's because once you've done it, you're never done. In my experience, you're always having to work on it. There's always challenges to try to, overcome, because when you do it well, it just continuously illuminates those challenge areas, James, I'm sorry. I know I interrupted you on that. My apologies.
No, not at all. It's complete that. And again, we've not yet reached the chasm in terms of mainstream adoption. So like expect this to be challenging for a lot of companies, I think. So this is great to see like it somewhat successful.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. So I think we can wrap up there for the evening. I mean, we're almost exactly at 8 o'clock, so we're right on schedule, which is fantastic. So
7 p.m. for me. I'm in Dallas.
That's right, American Airlines, of course. Well, that was an excellent topic tonight. Really appreciate you bringing those learnings to the meetup this evening, and it was great to have everyone here too. Great questions and feedback, and so we'll put this out on the BVSSH YouTube channel for others to go and learn from as well. So for those who, we have some of our regulars and maybe some new folks as well. We do these once a month, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So, just keep your eyes open on social media and the meetup site for our next topic that'll come up in September.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. You guys, we learned a lot through collaboration. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Great job. Have a great evening, everyone.